Hello everyone, so we're back again here today. I'm going to show you how to do a backup domain controller and add one to an existing forest. Um, I'm loading up the server now and we'll go ahead and get started here very shortly as soon as the server loads. One of the things I do want to mention too is before starting this process is you want to make sure if you're starting a brand new server that you change the computer name, add it to the domain that you want to add it to, um, change the IP address and to the available IP that you would have for your network, and make sure those things are in place. Also, make sure that if it's a new server again, make sure that the time is correct down here, and make sure that it's within correct time as with the other servers. Microsoft loves putting it into Pacific time, where if you live on the East Coast, you gotta make sure you put it on the East Coast. Simple things like that. You gotta make sure the time is in sync. Time is very, very important when it comes to AD. So we want to make sure that that is sync. Um, let's go ahead and add this to the new domain here, or add a backup domain controller. So let's go to Server Manager, Dashboard, add roles and features. Go next, next, next. We want active directory, domain, services. Go ahead and click add the features here. Another thing is we want to make sure that we add DNS, because this will also be a global catalog DNS server. So we'll go ahead and add those features. Go ahead and click next. I'm going to just go ahead and skip over the features here. This just talks about Azure, and that's Microsoft trying to push Azure. If you have that, great, it'll work with it. But that's one of the things I think we will go over in another time. And this just explains DNS. And let's go ahead and install these roles. Alright, now that's done. So let's go ahead and close this window out. And now you're going to see this flag up here with this little warning signal. We'll have to go in here and configure the domain controller. So we want to press on this little link to say promote this to server to a domain controller. So let's go ahead and do that. We are going to, since this is backup domain controller, we're going to add a domain controller to an existing domain. The domain is already selected. I'm going to use the current user, and I'm going to go ahead and click next. Gotta change the credentials. First, I thought those credentials work. Apparently not. When you enter these credentials, they have to be a part of the domain that you're trying to add to them. So you can't just add a domain or add credentials that are basically on the local server. They have to be on the domain that you're trying to add, which is what I just did. So as you can see, once I did that, it allowed it to go through. Now it's creating the stuff in the background that is needed to create this as a backup domain controller. We're going to go ahead and leave this alone. This will come in handy. The site names, we don't need to worry about that right now. But if this was like, say, a different site, say in the Midwest, you could go into AD and add a different site, and this could be like the domain controller for that site, and then you could create a different site name for that particular division or area of the country that you want to add. I also want to state that this DSRM password, Directory Services Restore Mode, this is very important. If your server was ever to crash, or somehow it just won't restart, but you're able to get into the restore process, you will need to have this password. Because if you don't have this password, it makes things a lot more difficult to make any repairs or anything that you need to make. So I'm just going to go ahead and set one. And I've actually seen production companies not have this password, and then when their server fails, they pretty much have to rebuild the server, and that's a lot of time. In fact, the one company I worked for, they were down for 3-4 days because of that amount of stuff they had to rebuild. And that's losing a lot of money for the company. When people can't get into the programs that they need to get into, they can't get into the financial programs that pretty much run the company. When stuff like that happens, normally upper management gets involved and they're not too happy. So this is one of the primary reasons why you have a backup domain controller, is that if one server fails, the next server will take its place, and that way you reduce the amount of downtime that you could have or possibly would have, and you can then convert the backup domain controller into be the primary domain controller, so to speak. And now that's kind of old terminology there a little bit. I'm just trying to think of things like domain or backup and stuff like that, because you're always going to have one basically, like, there's always going to be one that holds the FSMO roles, and the one that has the FSMO roles is, the way in my mind, the way I kind of think of it, and I know it's kind of old school to think of this way, is like the primary or the main DC, and then the one that would have the backup would not have those roles, but it would just have a copy of those, so to speak. If I'm trying to be clear, because the more you get into it, it's a little bit more harder to understand and gets really technical. And I'm trying to make this as simplistic as possible when I'm trying to make these videos. I'm going to click next here. I'm just going to go ahead and click next on the DNS options. I'm going to leave this alone because you can always configure this later if you want to. I'm going to replicate this from my number 4 server. So this is actually going to be the third domain controller on this domain. So this is actually going to be third, and I'm just doing experimentation. As you can see, you can have as many domain controllers as you want, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now the resources, they can get pretty tight though, but as long as you have the resources to be able to do that, there's not really an issue for it. It's just determining on whether you need, if that's a need or not. I'm going to leave all these in the same locations. I see no reason to change those at this time. And another thing too, what I love about 2016 and like the older servers don't really do too much is you can see the script right down here. You can view the script where you can basically copy this, and let's say you want to add, your company does take down servers or needs to add a server really quickly. You can basically copy this and run this, and this will automate the process of creating a new server, and it's actually pretty fast once you do that. I think in another video, if I get the time, I think I will try to do this and show you guys the process of doing it, because it's pretty slick on how to do that. And there's a lot with automation that is going on as a system admin that companies are trying to do more and more. So the more automation that you know how to do, the farther along that you can get along and make things a lot faster for the company. And it just makes you more efficient too, right? So the more efficient you can be, the better you can be at your job too. And I've also learned that if you can be more efficient and you can show someone that you're worth the salary that you're getting paid, that's another reason to show, hey, I can do all this stuff, and here's the reasons why, But anyways, that's a whole nother discussion. I'm going to go ahead and click. This is just warnings that it's going to give you. It's pretty basic. In another video, I talk about these warnings in more detail discussions, and I can link the first video to this page when I'm done with this video. Now it's going in and creating all the necessary stuff in the background to create this domain controller. And I'm just going to pause it and let it do its thing, and then I'll come back and show you that everything is being replicated and so forth. So while we were away, apparently I stepped away shortly, and it appears that the server automatically restarted on me, which makes sense. It does need to do a restart after it finishes. But as you can see, it got all the Active Directory domain services up here now. Administrator Center, Domains and Trust, Active Directory module for PowerShell, sites and services, users and computers, etc. You wouldn't have those if it didn't install correctly. So let's go ahead and just verify that right now. So one of the ways that we're going to prove that this has been done is we'll go down to we'll go into command prompt, and I'll run it as administrator. And we'll use the rep and man tool to verify replication. And we'll use the replication summary. As you can see, it gets listed all three of my servers there. No failures. And all seem to have replicated just fine. Now let's just check out curiosities, see if there are any in the queue, which I don't believe that there would be. But let's just check it. Nope, nothing there. So that makes sense. So everything seems like replicated. So let's show the replication status now. And that's just going in show replication. And as you can see here, it is replicating from both the other two servers. So you can see you got player server 3, player server 4. On the next one here, you get that's the forest, which is coming from player server 4. The schema is coming from player server 4. Configuration is coming from player server 3. And the site is player server 4. Same as there. Both schema, I'm sorry, I'm skipping over. So both the forest and the player server 3 and 4 are both there, as you can see. So as you can see, it's replicating just fine. Everything was successful. And let's go verify. Let's just do another verification. Let's go into Active Directory users computers and verify it. As you can see, my domain's there. Now you can see the OUs. We have the accounting, customer service, human resources, information technology, marketing, people there, groups. And if we go in here, we can check and verify that there are users in here. Yep. No computers in that one. There's a computer here. Yep. So everything has replicated over exactly the way that we have it there with the other two servers. And there you have it. Simple, easy way to add a backup domain controller. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I will be trying to come up with more and more videos. Again, I want to stress that I do this in my own time. I'm not backed by Microsoft or any other companies. I'm just doing this to try and help other people, try to help my and showcase my skills too as well. And I just want to try and help people for the most part, and try to show them the correct ways of doing things. I have over my career so far, when I've come into these companies, I've seen a lot of stuff where it's done the wrong way. And when you got to go in and you got to clean up all this stuff from other people, other assistant admins who were not doing stuff the right way, it gets to be pretty stressful. And then when you need to make those changes, necessary changes, it can be pretty hectic, because sometimes those people didn't do things the right way, and sometimes you just have to almost completely start over, because it is so bad that you're better off starting off with a new domain controller than you are trying to fix what is left in the old. I mean, it's crazy what I've seen. and especially when people are going away from mail exchange servers, and then they have like all this stuff left in from mail exchange. Uh, you're at the point where almost better off just starting off with a brand new domain controller. And that's part of the reasons why I'm trying to show people how to do stuff the right way. I was trained by Microsoft, and so I know how to do things the right way, and I'm trying to show people how to do things the right way. And if I've made any mistakes, I'll own up to it. No one's perfect, and if I hear someone says, "Hey, this isn't correct," I'll go in and point out, "Hey, this is a correction." I'll update my video and make a correction to it. So I try to be everything as accurate and detailed as possible. And I try to show people to do things the right way. And that's the whole purpose of these videos that I'm putting out. Again, thanks for watching, and have a great day.